This is the strategic plan for Starbucks, presented by me, Amy Breitzman, Jamie Smith, and Jared Dwyer. I will be going over a little bit about the history of the company, as well as the mission and vision statements, and the ABLE analysis. Jamie will be presenting some of the highlights from the external and internal audits, and some of the analytic tools that were used. And Jared will be discussing the strategy development as well as some of the financial history for Starbucks. In 1971, writer Gordon Bowker, history teacher Zev Siegel, and English teacher Jerry Baldwin opened the first Starbucks store in Seattle, Washington. The three met while they were students at the University of San Francisco. After learning how to roast coffee beans from entrepreneur Alfred Peet, they were inspired to start selling high-quality coffee beans and coffee-making equipment. During their first year, they bought their green coffee beans from Peet's, and then after that, they began buying directly from the growers. At this time, when they had their first store, the store only sold whole roasted coffee beans. The only prepared coffee that they had in the store was used for samples. In 1982, Howard Schultz joined Starbucks as the retail director and head of marketing. Before joining Starbucks, Schultz was a salesman for the Xerox Corporation, and after that, he was the general manager for a Swedish coffee maker manufacturer. After a trip to Milan, Italy in 1983, Schultz became inspired by the popularity of espresso bars, and he brought his ideas back to Seattle and back to Starbucks. In 1985, Schultz decided to leave Starbucks to open his own coffee shops, which served drinks made from Starbucks coffee beans. In 1987, Bowker, Siegel, and Baldwin sold the Starbucks retail unit to Schultz for $3.8 million. Schultz kept the Starbucks name and quickly started his U.S. expansion. The greatest period of expansion for Starbucks began in the early 1990s. During this period, they were opening, on average, 2 new stores every day. They opened their first store outside of the United States in Tokyo, Japan in 1996. When Starbucks became a publicly traded company in June of 1992, they had 140 stores with a revenue of $73.5 million and a market value of $271 million. According to the Starbucks website, their mission statement is to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. The mission statement reveals that Starbucks sees its mission as bigger than just selling a cup of coffee. They strive to create a unique experience for customers all over the world. It's about the people and the communities that they serve. Starbucks is able to inspire and nurture the human spirit, starting with their employees. The company maintains a small company culture that is focused on warmth and customer service. The mission statement also indicates Starbucks' plans to continually grow the business one person and one neighborhood at a time. Also found on the Starbucks website, their vision is to establish Starbucks as the premier purveyor of the finest coffee in the world, while maintaining their uncompromising principles while they grow. The company effectively addresses its vision statement by providing the best quality products and maintaining a warm, ethical culture for their employees and customers. For Starbucks, being a premier purveyor means that they want to achieve leadership when it comes to its products, specifically their coffee. The Able Matrix was developed by Derek Able to get a good overview of customers and their needs. The first portion of the matrix asks the question, who are the customers of the organization? By having a thorough knowledge of a company's target groups, a company can more effectively target their product offerings. For Starbucks, their target customer group is men and women who are between the ages of 25 and 40 years old. This demographic accounts for almost half of its total business. Starbucks considers their core customers to be educated, professional urbanites with an average income of $90,000. They focus on this demographic by the strategic placement of their stores, by the contemporary design of their stores, and by their advertising, and by keeping their products current. The second portion of the matrix is figuring out what the customer's needs are. Starbucks has recognized a need for what they call a third place, somewhere between work and home where the customer can go to relax or meet up with friends. They want an easy, relaxing ambience where they can catch up with friends, read a book, or catch up on their social media pages. The customer also needs and expects quality coffee and tea products, along with exceptional personalized service. They want to be able to adjust any drink to make it exactly how they want it. Starbucks has a few different distinctive competencies that we will focus on. The first one is brand reputation or brand recognition. Starbucks has been able to build a reputation for quality products, great service, and an overall satisfying customer experience. Starbucks is also known for letting people customize their drinks. This has allowed them to make their menu possibilities pretty much endless. Another distinctive competency for Starbucks is the atmosphere of the stores. Their stores invite you in with their comfortable seating, their music, and their free Wi-Fi, with the expectation that you can stay as long as you want. Starbucks also has a distinct location strategy when it comes to opening new stores. They take a very strategic approach and consider a lot of factors, including community demand, traffic, and parking. Another reason that their location strategy works is because Starbucks stores are not franchised. So having stores close together does not cause competition or reduce value. One of Starbucks' existing objectives is to remain the most recognized brand of coffee. The strategy for this objective is to keep expanding the number of stores and products that they offer, which includes tea, coffee, and also their at-home products. Another objective is to create a great working environment. They do this first by creating a benefits package that is specifically tailored to each employee. Benefits for employees can range anywhere from bonuses to 401k matching options, and they also offer things like adoption assistance. Another benefit for their employees is that they offer full tuition coverage and some additional benefits for any military veterans. Starbucks also makes a commitment to global responsibility. They make a commitment to the communities where they do business. They want to focus on ethically sourcing high quality coffee, reducing environmental impact, and making a positive contribution to the community. Starbucks also has a set of values that they operate by that could go along with their objectives and strategies. The first one is that they want to create a culture of warmth and belonging where everyone is welcome. The second one is that they expect their employees to act with courage, to challenge the status quo, and to always find new ways to grow the company as well as each other. The third one is that they expect their employees to be present. They want them to connect with the customer with transparency, dignity, and respect. And the fourth one is that they want their employees to deliver the very best and to be able to hold themselves accountable for the results.
The first portion that we're going to look at is how the external forces are completed to drive that final analysis. The analysis is called the External Factor Evaluation Matrix, or the EFE. For this, they look at economic forces, social, cultural, demographic, political, technology, and competitive forces. Those are all driving factors to get to that final portion. First, for the economic, this is truly driven by consumers' demand for beverages and food. They have the buying power, and they are the ones that drive how much more product that Starbucks needs to generate. If they are facing, a recession, that is something that Starbucks will need to consider when pricing new products or offering different types of promotions to the patrons, because it again is all dependent on their disposable income. The next one is social, cultural, demographic, and environment forces. And this truly is a big driving force for any new technology. There is lots of students and people at work that get together at a Starbucks for meetings or to work on homework. It's not only trendy, but it is a place where people meet and gather and are able to accomplish work. That is truly growing into some type of culture, and it's not just in the States, it is something globally. When looking at demographics, and there's lots of ways that Starbucks could pull this information, one of the more popular ways would be just to do a survey, which I know surveys, it feels like, are all over the place now, but a real popular one would be if you're receiving emails from the chain, there's always time to take a survey at the bottom of that email and provide your feedback. From there, they could obtain age groups and then, what the type of products that they're looking for, and this will help generate their market share. In regards to the environment forces, Starbucks needs to consider the type of footprint that they're leaving. And what I mean by that is the type of cups, like if they're using paper, if they're using plastic. Another portion that we're going to look at is how many brick and mortar branches that they currently hold. It feels like it's almost saturating the market. In regards to political, legal, and government forces, Starbucks has a really good niche in creating existing business relationships, but they also need to form new alliances, possibly combining with other companies, to form those new relationships. Legal factors that they have to look at, and this is something that's going to be for almost any retail chain, especially for food, minimum wage, promoting their environmental policies, and then their food and safety regulations, and then also any type of labor policies. Those can change at any time, and they can be state and government worldwide policies that they need to abide by. Next is the External Factor Evaluation Matrix, the EFE. What we did is we took these opportunities and threats, and those are driven from the SWOT. And we gave each of them a weighted rating. So the weight comes first, and the rating goes by high to low, and it kind of shows exactly what they need to work on and what they excel in. Just for example, some of the opportunities were introducing new products, forming new alliances, entering new markets like distribution opportunities. For example, let's say they're going to represent Starbucks at a county fair, for example. There's people there that could be promoting a new product and handing out samples, and that's a distribution opportunity. Another big opportunity that they need to look into, and this could be considered as an opportunity and kind of a threat, it plays into both portions, is people are becoming more health conscious. So they could use it as an opportunity to market to, but then looking at it from a threat perspective, they need to have that opportunity, because if they don't, another vendor could come in and promote something that is more health conscious than them. Other threats are increasing competition, and then again, too many locations in close proximity. The next matrix is the competitive profile matrix. This, for example, takes 3 companies, again, gives them a weight, a rating, and then the score to kind of show how they play into with their other competition. I chose Starbucks, McDonald's, and Caribou Coffee. Some of the categories were advertising, product quality, product variety, price competitiveness. So Starbucks and Caribou kind of have the same when it comes to product quality and then pricing. McDonald's, however, is going to be over these two when it comes to advertising. They advertise a lot of TV advertising, but they have a lower price point for the products that they're offering. Starbucks and McDonald's, I think, are very comparable in the fact that they have, they're global. They have a lot of global expansion, global exposure, where Caribou lacks in that. Here's the SWOT analysis. This kind of pulls in the opportunities and threats that we've already discussed. But there's also the strengths and weaknesses of Starbucks. So some of the strengths are that they're an international company, very well-known brand, you know just from seeing the symbol what brand it is. It's a high-quality product. Another portion that I added here was how they're known for hiring veterans. It is a big promotion within their company. Some of the weaknesses to consider are the high prices of their product, unhealthy offerings. Perhaps some people think that the quality of the coffee may not be good as their reputation, and then oversaturation in the marketplace. The next one is going to focus on internal. So the internal evaluation matrix, or the IFE. This is going to take the strengths and the weaknesses, which we just discussed. Again, it's going to provide them each with a weight, and then the rating, high to low, and then the score, so that they can look at this for financial information and see what it is that they're lacking in to help them improve in those categories, or maybe set a goal plan for future promotions. The next one is going to be the space matrix. The space matrix is going to give them an actual grid layout of where they fall within financial position, stability, within their competitiveness, and then the industry. Each one of those then is weighted to kind of show on a chart exactly what it is where they need to increase, or where they could maybe decrease a category if they were performing well in another one. Just for example, some of the grid is going to show the internal is going to be on the left-hand side, which is the financial position. They scored really well with their cash flow and with the leverage, and with the liquidity. In regards to stability, some of the categories where they did not score as well would be the price range, the risk, and then the rate of inflation. Competitive position was kind of an interesting one, and this just has to do with being a global company. They scored very well in customer loyalty and product quality, but they could improve in capacity utilization. Compared to other industries, so the industry position, their financial stability was right up there along with their profit potential. They could increase, however, into the market and productivity. The grand strategy matrix is actually going to take 4 companies. So I added a 4th one in here, Dunkin' Donuts. It's going to look at this as a grid. So rapid market growth or slow market growth, and then strong competitive positions and weak competitive positions. So each company is listed, and then each of them have kind of what their strengths and weaknesses, I guess, would, looking at within the market would be directly underneath them. And the final matrix here is going to be the quantitative strategic planning matrix, or the QSP. This is going to take all 4 categories of the SWOT, and then it's going to have 2 strategies, which are listed on the upper right hand side. The first strategy we looked at was condensing the proximity of locations to one another. So perhaps making a boundary, for example, like Starbucks can't be within 2 to 3 miles of each other. And that has to look at not just a brick and mortar location, but Starbucks you can find now in a bookstore, inside Target, inside airports. They're everywhere, and they're just really concerned about saturating the market. The next strategy was expanding further internationally. Again, Starbucks is an international company. However, with the oversaturation, looking at it, in strategy 1 within the US, it could focus on expanding, just internationally maybe for the next couple years. Again, both of those scenarios or the strategies are going to be given a weight throughout all the opportunities, threats, strengths, and weaknesses. And then the rating comes next so that you can get a final number and see which one may be more likely that they could, go ahead with or present to a committee that they're going to proceed.
So what's next for Starbucks? After taking a look at our analysis in parts 2 and 3, we've come up with a handful of strategies for the company. So let's go over where Starbucks wants to be. Some of the goals that are already in place for the company: to remain the most recognized brand of coffee, to offer a great work environment for its employees, and to maximize market penetration. Some of the things that the company has done already: implementation of mobile order and pay, doubling its store count in China, commitment to hire veterans, hiring of 10,000 veterans and their family members by the end of next year. It was a pretty big story in the news. And reinventing the tea industry. It's a $109 billion market for tea globally. Starbucks is focusing on being the leader of the tea industry as well as the coffee industry. So after our analysis, 3 strategies that we came up with for Starbucks and what they should do next. Strategy 1. Strategy 1, downsize locations that are too close in proximity. Independent coffee shops continue to pop up in suburban areas. Wrecking Ball Coffee CEO says, economic outlook for independent coffee shops is great. The market is not saturated. There's still room for another 20,000 to 30,000 of us. The growth in independent coffee shops is partly due to the fact that Americans don't like to identify with a national chain. This is a growing trend. What Starbucks can do is use the money saved on locations that are underperforming compared to others in proximity. This will allow for money to be used for internal expansion. Which leads into strategy 2. Halt expansion in the United States and focus on international development. Because of the increase in competitors, Starbucks has the ability to expand, unlike other independent coffee makers. Starbucks has already made significant inroads in China, but there's untapped potential in these markets still. What Starbucks can do is tailor their stores' formats within each culture in a large country like China. Starbucks already has the benefit of being a global leader with their brand popularity worldwide. Developing internationally will be extremely important for the near future. The last strategy that we've come up with for Starbucks is to create healthy teas or drinks aimed at children of the target market by expanding a kids menu. Consumer tastes and lifestyles continue to shift towards a healthier and more organic style of living. Customers are reaching for a healthy snack or healthy drink instead of having that next meal. By expanding the menu to offer snacks and fresh juice options for adults and kids will help boost sales. The target market of 25 to 40-year-olds that Starbucks is targeting is getting older as parents. The new average age for a first-time parent is 26. This means that as the target market have kids later, they will now have kids with them later into the target. By eliminating this secret kids menu that Starbucks offers fresh juice and, apple juice and milk and a whipped cream drink, putting an actual kids menu on the board will give parents who are consumers an added incentive to bring their kids with them to Starbucks and to purchase something. McDonald's has proven that the Happy Meal brings the parents back. This will be a way that Starbucks can do the same thing.
For the full fiscal year 2016, Starbucks grew net revenue to a record $21 billion. This growth was driven by the opening of just over 2,000 new stores globally. This chart breaks the finances down a little bit more. The net revenues for the company-operated stores increased steadily from 2011, as well as the net revenue for the licensed stores. They took a little bit of a loss on total assets in 2014, but came back up in 2015. Operating cash flow, or the money generated by Starbucks' core business activities, increased steadily from 2012 to 2016, as shown by the cash flow chart. The main strategy that we will be focusing on will be international market penetration, especially in China. The proposed plan is to open 1,500 stores in over 200 cities in China during the next 5 years. We will also focus on expanding the mobile and digital platform to reflect the lifestyles of the customers in that demographic.